Good evening, and welcome to the Patriot Report. I'm Cody Higley, and tonight we're joined, and I'll say this as always, but this is the first show. So, anyway, it's Robert Landon. Robert, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been what, a couple weeks, I think, since either of us have done a show. As most people out there probably are aware, we were doing the Watchman's Report, but now we have moved on to this new venture on Ohio Patriots Network, which is which is your outfit, Robert,
Yeah.
and called the Patriot Report. So it's going to be pretty much the same type of format where we're going to be discussing local news, state, national news, as well as politics. We're going to put in a conservative perspective on things like culture and society, uh, and obviously politics as well. So that's pretty much what the changes is, and it's an exciting thing because we've now got the Ohio Patriots Network again behind us. We were formerly associated, the show was with Marion Watch, and I think we need to discuss that, let people know kind of the situation with that. And you may have heard about our former teammate on the Watchman's Report, uh, Jason Foreman. It was put out there, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, um, that he had a bit of a past, some prior youthful indiscretions when he was a teenager, and that was made public in an effort to attack his who he is today. And as much as we were unaware, I had no idea um,
Yeah.
about anything involving that. That incident went back apparently almost 30 years ago. I think when he was 19 years old,
hmm
and we weren't aware of it.
Right.
So it was a situation, as I understand it. I don't know all the details. Um, where he was charged with, or pled, did 5 days in jail, got a year's uh, probation, and moved on with his life, which is pretty much what we want to see out of the reform element in criminal justice. Because when he moved on with his life after he did his time, he hasn't, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't been charged with anything before. And again, that was nearly 30 years ago. But, you know, that's pretty much the situation in a nutshell. We found out about it and just said, hey, you know, we don't condone what happened
Right.
30 years ago. We've only known, I've only known Robert since August when I became affiliated
hmm
with Marion Watch, and same thing with Jason. I only knew Jason since then, and everything that I knew of Jason, stand-up guy, hard worker, devoted father, very devoted um, husband, or I don't even know that situation. Okay, I just know that he takes care of a very ill, longtime girlfriend, significant other, mother of his child. So that's all I can say about that situation is who I knew, what I knew just from this type of involvement. And you know, Robert, I think you were kind of the same situation. I mean, do you
Yeah.
want to say a few things here?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew Jay going back since about 2017 when I first started getting into politics, and obviously there was like a joint mission there. We both wanted to speak on the community issues, and the heroin issue kind of brought us together. We did the March Against Heroin. And never knew anything about that with his past, and then didn't formally join his team until when you joined his team back in, I think it might have been July or August. And never knew that about him. And, that's why we're here today. Obviously, we don't condone that at all. And the mission's just too important to shut it down. And honestly, we probably should talk about that too, about why they pushed that out. Because Jay says that they apparently have done this before. So, uh, I don't really know. I've never seen this before. So that's why we are making that pivot. But again, this mission's too important for us to just go away to shut up. That's exactly what they want from us because of how effective we were. So that's why we're here today on the Patriots Report, because this is going to be a continuation of that mission.
Yeah, and that's the thing, folks. I mean, you know, can people reform? Those are questions that you have to ask. And as far as I know, like I said, he was, I think, 19 years old, and it involved some inappropriate conduct with a female who was, I think, 4 years younger than him, roundabout. He was charged, or he pled to a third-degree misdemeanor, sexual imposition. So again, horrible incident or decision nearly 30 years ago. Did his time of 5 days as he was sentenced, year probation, and then, as far as we're aware, he moved on with his life and became a productive member of society. So you could say that we're being a little bit harsh, but um, I think that because we are so concerned with the mission,
Hmm.
it's so important that we don't let these types of distractions take over. That's why we had to relaunch under the Patriot Report on Ohio Patriots Network.
Hmm.
And we know that Jason's gonna be fine. He's, like I said, super hard worker. He really
Yeah.
is. He probably puts in more hours doing his job, taking care of his family, again, his significant other, as he's said himself. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag or anything here, folks. I mean, she's got some serious health issues, and he's
Hmm.
right there. He's right
Yeah.
there by her side, taking care of her, tending to her, and plus trying to be actively involved in his community and try to be a source of uh, positive change. So, again, I don't want to dwell on anything with that, but
Right.
just suffice it to say that if you heard about it, that's kind of the situation. We didn't have any clue. And our main focus here is to try to have a positive influence in the local community. And maybe through scaling it up to the Ohio Patriots Network, have that impact on at the state level as well. We accomplished many good things. with our prior show. Um, you look at it, I mean, we had statewide candidates, we had local candidates, we were talking about the hottest issues, bringing bringing things to light, and that's what we're trying to do. And this is just for me because I want to promote truth and
Yeah.
justice. I don't get any money out of this. I don't get anything. In fact, most of my stuff, my contributions, I try to keep anonymous, you
Hmm.
know? You look at here, everybody's all freaking out like, right there, you know? I hadn't posted any original content on as far as articles go on Mary Watch. I think my last one was like early December. And then I launched my own thing. Okay, read between the lines out there, all you people who are so concerned about who's writing what, so there's another page out there somewhere where that's mine. That's mine. Okay. So just quit losing your crap out there. But just try to put stuff out there. Try to help people, provide commentary, provide analysis, and hopefully those contributions will help move us forward. That's it.
Hmm.
There's no desire for grandeur or money or anything like that. This is strictly a done on a gratis volunteer basis,
Right.
just trying to help things. And for me, it's a promotion of conservative principles because they're in so short supply, even though much of what is done in the name of conservatism or political parties like the Republican Party that are supposed to espouse traditional values, conservative values, fiscally conservative values, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. They try to run and say they are, but then their policies are the exact opposite.
Right.
So that really irritates me, Robert, and that's kind of the main reason why I do what I do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like you said, we're not paid. This is something we do on a volunteer basis just because we're passionate about it. And what's the classic saying is when for evil to triumph, it's when good men do nothing. And my conscience doesn't allow me to sit on the sidelines. It just doesn't. I'll get in the arena and I'll even take some hits as I did previously. But fortunately, for some of those out there that don't know my background, I come from a boxing family, and I kind of learned to take some hits both physically in the ring and in the ring of life, and that's just what it is. And so I'm going to stay in the public arena. I'm not going anywhere. Like we said, this mission is too important. So it's very exciting because we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, Cody. Like, first of all, what about this Trump assassination? Like, what is this? Like the 37th time they tried to assassinate Trump now in like what, a year?
It it was weird. I mean, it was totally weird. You know, the guy, by all accounts, is another whack job leftist. I guess he was a teacher or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Um, Trump really didn't seem to even move until the Secret Service kind of intervened, and
yeah.
I guess they went after JD Vance first. Is that
Hmm.
true?
Yeah.
Which
So
isn't
the
that
vid-
odd? I mean, shouldn't they go after the president first rather than JD Vance?
yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was looking into it. I guess they have like different Secret Service details. So like the group
Well, that
of
makes sense.
guys, that are protecting him, they're like, oh yeah, this is our primary responsibility. But I saw something online somewhere where Trump said that he told them not to grab him right away. Anyways, he felt like he was going to be okay. And that's just a boss move. Like I guess after you've been, through an assassination attempt a couple times, like you're just not going to move right away, I guess. And then you saw Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. He kind of was sheltering his wife, and have a lot of respect for that. So what I found interesting though, Cody, I don't know if you saw this, man, but this guy, did you see the video where he's like running through the Secret Service detail? Like they kind of like have like a little entry point, in the lobby area or wherever, and the guy just is like darting through, like I don't know, it's like a group of agents, and so supposedly one agent shot at this guy 5 times and missed all 5 bullets, missed this guy, and then he just fell on the ground, and that's how they got him. So for me, I'm like, man, this is really like that's just really bizarre to me. I don't know. Do you think that's bizarre?
Well, I mean, you look at any of those incidents, and throw in Charlie Kirk in there as well. There are. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories, quote unquote conspiracy theories out there, but eh, uh, don't discount them.
Yeah.
It's just odd. It is odd that you have these people who are supposed to be highly trained, highly aware, and you think of
Hmm.
how much technology exists today within the surveillance state,
Hmm.
and everything's monitored. So you're telling me that somebody that they didn't see this coming, or this person is that incompetent that they can't. I mean, how far was the shot? I imagine not very far, and
Yeah.
probably not under politically or particularly difficult circumstances. I wasn't there, so I really
Hmm.
can't comment too much. But um, I don't know. You know, all I can say is that there's been some very suspicious incidents um, when it comes to these assassination attempts, and in the case of Charlie Kirk, successes.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I guess try to beef up your security there, Trump. Um, I've I was reading an article today, and uh, they were saying that Trump really doesn't care. He's at this point, he's like, I'm
Yeah.
what, 78, 79 years old. Like, yeah, do your worst.
Yeah.
Um, it's almost as if that's true, if that is true, has kind of like a martyr mentality where he's
Hmm.
willing to be a martyr if that happens. I mean, you really don't have a choice. If somebody wants to off you, like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Like, hey, don't do this, and they're like, all right, you don't want to be a
Yeah.
martyr. All right, we'll let you go. Um, but I don't know.
Well, and
I
he was
don't know.
probably confident, like in their abilities. I guess. I mean, in his mind, he talks about how powerful our military is all the time. So in his mind, he probably thinks we have the most powerful Secret Service. So he really wasn't worried. But I'm glad that the Secret Service agents did at least isolate the issue and it didn't become a bigger issue. Based on what I've seen in his manifesto, he really had some intent to do harm. And then one of the agents actually took a bullet to the vest. So fortunately, they survived. So thank God nobody got killed or seriously injured. Um, the sacrifices that they put on the line every day, I mean, that's a testament to what they do and the expertise, all the training they have to go through consistently. One of my first thoughts, Cody, is when I first saw that, I was thinking like, okay, maybe somebody from Iran is sending somebody in, or one of our adversaries, because we're in the middle of a war right now, or I don't know, we're in a ceasefire now, but a
It changes
blockade.
every 20 minutes on what
Yeah,
we are. We're either gonna destroy Persian culture and civilization, or we're cool, and then the next time it's, I'm gonna bomb you into the Stone Age, and then it's, we've reached this peace deal and the Straits of Hormuz are open, even though they
yeah,
never were. It changes every half hour at least,
yes,
and yeah. So what do you think about that? This whole Iran war, I know when we talked about it, I was kind of the odd man out in that conversation, and it was stupid. Stupid. Why are we doing this? Today, gas. I saw
oh
there's a
my
post
word.
on Marion Crime Chronicles where it jumped from 3.99 a gallon for regular unleaded up to 4.29. And
Hmm.
it's not over. This is just going to continue to get worse.
Right.
Supply shortages. All these countries, mainly China, which gets number
Hmm.
one source of, oil and petroleum,
Hmm.
is Iran. China also makes all the crap that we buy here in this country. So as they continue to have ever increasing energy shortages in these other parts of the world. Now Trump wants to say, "Oh, you guys are all right, or America's all right. We've got oil, we've got
Hmm.
natural gas, and everything else." These other countries, they don't have those supply networks. So, it's gonna be a ripple effect throughout the economy. It's going to be inflationary because even if Trump is right, and you have these other countries that can source their energy from other parts like the United States, what's that going to do? You have a finite amount of natural resources in any given country. It's going to cause market demand, increases in prices. It's
Yeah.
going to be inflationary, and you're going to be paying more. And that runs completely counter to the America First agenda. The thing that Trump was doing that I commended, that most people voted, was to shore up the borders, deport the tens of millions of illegals that are in this country
Hmm.
that are taking jobs away from American born men and women. The crime associated with that, tackling, inflation by, Trump never really advocated cuts to spending, but still, an America first, not involving yourself in these regime change wars or these foreign conflicts that just
Yeah.
bleed us of money and men and materials. And then what are we doing? We go over here to Iran, and what was supposed to be, oh, it'll be over in a week. What are we at now, Robert? How long has this thing been dragging on, and are we
Uh, I think we're
anywhere
I think
near?
we're about 6 weeks in now,
Yeah,
which is
and
about
are
the
we
timeline
anywhere
that he
near
wanted to
resolution?
finish.
Yeah, but it's not. It's nowhere near actual resolution. And
Hmm.
even if it's going to take some time with the amount of mine, as far as I understand, with the amount of mines and everything, even if Iran said, "Ah, yeah, go ahead, we'll open this up," they still dumped a bunch of mines and everything. How long is that going to take to get cleared up? How long
Yeah.
is it going to take to get the tankers rolling back into the Straits of Hormuz and throughout the world?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just is as much as people may say, "Ah, we've dealt with this for 47 years or whatever, this regime, they were bad." Um, that's regime change. That's
Hmm.
not. I mean, you can pull up so many quotes where he says, "Ah, the regime change wars of the Bush administration, uh, W and Bush the elder, and those were all bad things." And then here we go and do this now, and for what? Presumably, I'm sorry, said it before. All you people who love the chosen ones, it was for them.
Well, what I want to know is like, why did it take them so long to start using like our unmanned uh, minesweepers? Because I just saw an article where they're just now starting to do that instead of traditional minesweeper resources. Because a lot of that stuff's being retired apparently, and I'm like, man, like we're deciding to go into a war where we need minesweepers, and we're retiring them. Now, granted, we should be using the unmanned systems. I completely agree with that if we have the technology to save lives. But like, why does it seem like how yeah, and maybe I'm out of the loop somewhere, but like, why does it seem like we're supposed to be the most advanced military, but yet we're relying on Ukraine for drone advice? And we're just now starting to use minesweepers in the Strait of Hormuz. Like those are questions I have. I haven't been able to find answers yet. So that kind of concerns me because, I've always believed we are the most powerful military in the world. And I still believe that despite those failings. But I'm just kind of curious about that. But, we also have seen that what was that weapon that they used when they took down Maduro? It was like a brainwave thing, like they just
Yeah.
like incapacitate them. So like we have some pretty scary stuff. We do know that. And I guess we have to put this into perspective. Like this is like me going into a fight against a little puppy with like one hand tied behind my back and like all these rules where you can't do this, you can't do that, and we have literally like two or three aircraft carriers in the area. We have 11 in our whole arsenal. We haven't put any boots on the ground. Like we're really not trying as much as we could. So I think that puts it into perspective as well as how powerful we really are, what we really could do to them. I mean, we really could obliterate them. I know Trump has said that, and for the most part, we have because they really don't have anything left other than uh, their soldiers. They don't really have a navy left. They don't really have an air force left. I think the last report I saw was like half of their missiles are out. So their nuclear site was destroyed, even though it's like there's stuff buried in there. So I think we've been pretty effective in that respect, but we haven't gotten them to submit. We haven't got them to say uncle, Cody. We can't get them to say uncle yet, and that's what Trump's trying to get them to do publicly. So it'll be interesting to see, with these
Well, he'll
upcoming
fail.
negotiations.
He'll
What's that?
fail. He'll fail. They're not going to submit, and we don't
Yeah.
even know. We don't even know. They want to say like, oh yeah, they really didn't do anything, and then now we're finding out that there were actually the attacks on the bases throughout the Middle East. Iranian attacks were actually much more devastating, much more effective. If and who knows what is true. All I
Mhm.
can tell you is that Iran is 4 or 5 times the size of Iraq, has a larger population. It's one of the pillars of civilization as far as
Yeah.
cultures go, with a very rich history, very
Mhm.
important history to mankind, and um, then it's not it's it's completely on a different scale. And you look at the terrain being largely mountainous,
Oh yeah.
as opposed to wide open deserts in much of Iraq and Kuwait. Um, and so it's much more formidable from that standpoint. And what's our record since World War II? I'm sorry. You want to talk about how great, and I love the military. Let me get that out there. I'm not trying to criticize. Most of your most ardent critics of military leadership, like top brass, policies, strategy, are
Mhm.
going to be the regular guys on the ground, the grunts, the 11 Bravos out there, the ones that actually fight and have to clean up the messes that are made by the politicians, and
Yeah.
have to do things under the restrictions of the idiots from West Point. So most of them, I think, understand the realities of war, and
Right.
Americans should be very skeptical, should be very much against war, never advocate for war, because it it's a horrible thing. Only if it's necessary, and if it's necessary, then you go all out. Then it's total warfare,
Yeah. That,
unconditional surrender, destruction.
that's what I was
Um,
going to say. When you ask the question, like how many wars have we won, or how effective have we been since World War II? A lot of that, in my mind, is attributed to the political will and political leadership because politics gets in the way of every war, and you have, like Vietnam, for instance. By all accounts, militarily. tactically, strategically, whatever you want to say, we were dominating in Vietnam when it came to conventional battles. But it was the cultural aspect of it became very unpopular. They started hearing about the death count, and that's when nobody wants to hear about loved ones dying in war. Obviously, in order to win, unfortunately, that's going to happen. But the American people had enough of it, so we had to withdraw. But when you look at like the Battle of Saigon, man, we just like ripped through these places. And when it came to just head on battles with the Vietnamese, we were winning.
That
Same
was
thing with
a huge loss. It was a huge loss in Vietnam. And yeah, the McNamara
politically,
and
yes.
brain trust and everything going off of uh, death, comparing body count numbers and things like that. Yeah, could the could the Viet Cong uh, do anything? Yeah, they could. I mean, Tet was kind of a game changer as far as
Yeah,
that goes. Was a widespread, all across the land surprise offensive that really caught Americans with their pants down. Um, but in the end, what was it? What was it? They were
yeah,
evacuating Saigon. Last chopper out of Vietnam. Get me on here, boys,
yeah,
because they're overrun. They've overrun our positions, and we're hightailing it out.
yeah.
And it's the same thing that we did in Afghanistan. So after 20 years, Biden just leaves all this stuff, and people are trying to get on the
Crazy.
last chopper out of Kabul. You know,
Yeah.
Iraq. And how much did this stuff cost us? Iraq and Afghanistan. Iraq number two. Let's put that on there 2.0.
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
Afghanistan. Trillions of dollars.
Yeah,
Trillions of dollars. And um, quite a few American men and women were killed. And upwards estimates are millions of Iraqis. Hundreds of
yeah.
thousands, possibly millions of Iraqis. Um, and for what to show for it, they can put it in there and they can tell you that it's, oh well, it helped us, it secured us globally and put us in a better position to fight terrorism at the
Right.
global level stuff. Bull crap. Bull crap. It was a wasteful endeavor. Korea was a wasteful endeavor. Vietnam was a wasteful endeavor. All these wars that we have been involved in since the end of World War II have largely been wasteful endeavors. I'm
Hmm.
sorry to break the news to you folks. Not meant to be not a patriot. A patriot would look at what our founding fathers said. George Washington, when he left office, voluntarily did his second term and said, I'm out of here.
Hmm.
He told everybody in America, he said, and avoid foreign entanglements.
Yeah,
And pretty much every other founding father, with the exception of maybe Hamilton. Hamilton was kind of that's why they love Hamilton. All these establishment types, all these big government types, all
hmm,
these swamp creatures, they love Alexander Hamilton because he
hmm,
wanted a king, he wanted
yeah,
empire, and he wanted to project power. Whereas pretty much my boy TJ Thomas Jefferson was the exact opposite. He was the
yeah.
antithesis of Alexander Hamilton, and he wanted small government, and he wanted people that were not engaging in wars, that were focused on mercantilism and agricultural pursuits and that sort of thing. So,
Hmm.
Robert, what do you think?
No, there's great points. I would just go back to I think it's political. When you talk about Korea, when you talk about Vietnam, what was the real reason why we went into those places? It was to stop the spread of communism. And with
How'd that work?
Korea, right. With Korea, what we do? I guess we stopped it from dominating South Korea. We at least helped South Korea. So, in their minds, the South Koreans are probably eternally grateful to us. But when we backed out of Vietnam, the communists overran Vietnam. Like you said with Iraq, I mean, the way we left Iraq was just atrocious. I couldn't imagine being a vet, and my best friend is a vet over there. I couldn't imagine like how he's feeling, just realizing that our president would just leave all the equipment there and we would just pull out, and all of their sacrifice was for what? What did we really accomplish? To your point, we spent trillions of dollars on all these forever wars, and now, I know you and I even see don't see eye to eye on the Iran war. I agree with a short term uh, conflict, a short term mission, but then we need to get out of there. And if we're not going to win, that's when the rubber meets the road. I think, Cody, because this is really going to be a test to Trump's ego. Is he going to let his ego get the best of him, and he's going to, lock us down there for the rest of his term just because he needs to prove he's won? That's my biggest concern. And then with the economy, like you said, $4.29 a gallon of gas. What's that going to do to the midterms? What's the Republicans' strategy? Because
They're done.
from everything I'm seeing, they have a long shot to be able to keep the House. They have a pretty decent shot at keeping the Senate, but it's looking like Democrats might edge them out by a couple seats in the House. And if they do that, it's like, I don't want to say it's game over for Trump, but like for his agenda, it's going to be very hard for him to get anything passed. You'll see him get impeached again, I think, even though it really isn't going to do anything because it would have to go to the Senate. But I think you're going to see that again, and we're going to get back into this political warfare again. What do you think? Do you see that happening?
Yeah, and honestly, you know, as much as it pains me to have a bunch of radical leftists, borderline communists that are now passing themselves as the Democrat Party, uh, retaking power. Um, this is all him, man. Like,
Mhm.
if you would have focused on what was legit America First policies,
Right.
which did not include this Iran war on behalf of Israel. Sorry, sorry. It is make instead of MAGA, it's MIGA. It's make Israel great again. And that's where we're at. So if that's who you're really advocating for, who you're looking out for, then this is what happens. And then what are we going to be left with? Yeah, we're going to be left with even more dysfunctional government, and we're going to be left with um, who knows what kind of policies that are going to be crushing to us, the regular red blooded men and women of America. And
Yeah.
it's very depressing. It's very sickening. I hate this because it's not that hard. Shrink the size of government. Don't involve yourself. We have two huge oceans protecting us. We have one of the most technologically, probably the most technologically advanced military in the world. We don't need to have boots on the ground in 180 countries or however many it is. We can decrease the projection of that, and just be strategic with it because that's one
Mhm.
of our largest expenditures is on national defense.
Mhm.
And if you look in the history, you want to talk about early history, we didn't have a standing army. You had an army that was called up of regulars and things like that during times of war, but you did not have these large standing armies. You had officers who were there, and you had militia groups and that sort of thing, more of like a national guard. This whole huge American empire army um, is all relatively recent. It's all a product of World War II. And
Mhm.
some people may say, well, we need that. We got to be the global police, and we have to be the superpower. We went through the Cold War. We need this huge army all the time. I don't know. Can't afford it. Same thing happened to Rome. They couldn't afford. their military, and then they started paying for foreign soldiers in the Roman legions and giving them citizenship, which
Hmm.
is pretty much the same thing that we're doing now. It's just the
Hmm.
decline and fall of the Roman Empire 2.0, and I hate to see it, but that's what's happening. And it's a very big disappointment with Donald Trump from my perspective, and I think a lot of people out there feel the same way. And they're gonna get shellacked, I think, um, coming up in the midterms
Hmm.
and probably moving forward. And then what's
Yeah.
going to happen? The Democrats are getting power. They're a bunch of communists, leftist idiots. So then you're going to get somebody on the other side that says, "Oh, we got to do the opposite of this. We got to take America back and stuff." And then
Yeah.
that person will get elected, and the Republicans will take power again, and then they'll continue to do foolish policies, probably fight more wars for Israel or whatever, and then we'll be right back. It's never like a good change, you know?
Hmm.
We just
Hmm.
we the real folks on the ground, the people that pay taxes, the people that work their jobs, try to raise their families, try to promote traditional values and things like that. We never win, Robert. We never
Right.
win. We
Right.
never win.
It's not going to happen. There's just an orchestrated end game that we all know. I mean, we all know what it is. We know where it's going. It's just how fast is it going to take us to get there? And I think Trump has been the guy that's going to slow it down. But I don't think that we're going to avoid getting there. And you know what I'm speaking biblically as a Christian. Um, but I am concerned for the midterms. I'm concerned that. Uh, the Democrats are going to take the House, and then we're going to be right back to his first term, where we're dealing with impeachments, and then we're going to be investigating each other, and it's just going to be endless stuff internally. And like you said, with the Roman Empire, we had these forever wars. We were over expanding, but at the same time, we were crumbling internally. And a house divided against itself is not going to stand. And so that's what's going to really take us down in my mind. I think we could get to a point, if we really wanted to, if we wanted to sustain our military, we could do that. But when you have that and you have internal factions fighting against each other, that's not sustainable. And uh, I seen an article earlier that I think it was on Fox News that was talking about irreconcilable differences. um, and then I saw this one thing from Ray Dalio. I don't know if you know who he is,
Yeah.
but he was talking about how he thinks civil war is coming to the United States. Now, not necessarily like the original Civil War, but he's saying there's such irreconcilable differences that it makes it difficult. Like, we can't even sit at the table together and just have normal conversations without being at each other's throats. And that's just not going to be sustainable long term. Then you have the economic friction with the Iran war, with inflation. That's not going down. Unfortunately, that's probably my biggest gripe with President Trump was the economy. Like I said, you and I know we don't see eye to eye on the Iran war, but my biggest thing was the economy. I wanted to see a strong economy again, and in many respects, like the stock market's doing well, my 401k is doing well, but that's a future realization. I'm not realizing those gains right now. But when I go to the grocery store, and I'm paying, hundreds of dollars more each week in groceries than what I used to, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't like that. So I want to
It's a
see that.
scam. It's a
Yeah,
scam.
I want to see
It
that
really
resolved.
the stock market is a scam. Your 401k plan is a scam. Your IRA is a scam. What does that do? What does that do? It's like you said. It's good on paper. It's good
Hmm.
on paper, folks. I'm super wealthy until you're not.
Hmm.
Until the elite go in there and they cash in. They cash
Hmm.
in before you.
Hmm.
The schmuck out there that has these employer sponsored retirement plans, that and you have these financial advisors that just say, Oh, you got to think long term. Got to think long term. Yeah, you're down 30% right now, but just hold the course. Hold the course. By the time you're 65 or 59 or whatever, you're going to be able to cash in, baby. It's going to be that much higher. So they put all these people putting all their money in across America, over 300 million people, and just funneling money, funneling money, funneling money, every paycheck going in there. What does that do? What does that do? Drives that price up, 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 up,
Yeah.
up, 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 up. What does the monetary policy of the United States and the Federal Reserve do? It prints, 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 and then
Hmm.
all these companies are buying back their stock, buying back their stock. What does that do? Pushes that price up, 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 up. Just all this inflation, creation of dollars. It's just up, 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 up. So, what's the real value of the stock market? There's no
Right.
price mechanism. There's no value
It's
mechanism in it.
overvalued right now.
It's complete bull crap. I'm trying to watch my language moving forward. Bull crap, acceptable term.
Yeah.
That's what our financial system is, and they want you holding the bag so that you're happy you get that statement and you say that quarterly
Right.
statement and you say, oh man, look, I've got a 12% return this year and I'm up and this is how much it's worth. And then what happened in 2008 when it got real? You had all these this it was insider trading. It was insider trading. You look at all these people who sold out when it was high,
Hmm.
and then who was left because they're not trading daily. They're not
Hmm.
going stock by stock, investment by investment in real time like all the big boys are.
Hmm.
You
Right.
you got stuck. That's all it is. It's a scam to milk money from you. Situation on the ground with the US economy is very dire.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking this to you. And that has to do a lot with our policies of these forever wars, printing and spending money policy by the Federal Reserve and the US government, the lockdowns, that was a huge inflationary period, the quantitative easing from 2008 onward for the next decade, huge inflationary period. Now it's a perfect storm. And like I said, I was hoping for an America first, go in there, change the policies, do what is needed to try to reverse course that this country has been on for the last 60 years during the age of
Yeah.
big government and all these forever wars and stuff. And now we're here. Now we're here with Iran. Now we have $4.30 gas. Um, we haven't seen all the supply shortages yet, but they're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming, folks. And you don't think that the establishment, the elite that want more and more control over you and I, you don't think that they're going to try to take advantage of this like they did
Right.
during COVID? You don't think so?
Oh yeah.
They're doing lots said gas rationing in other countries in the world. Um, Now they're saying like, oh, we're gonna limit your movements. So we're not only gonna have gas rationing, but you're gonna these smart meters that they're installing everywhere. Like, oh,
Hmm.
well, we got to preserve energy, so we're gonna shut off your utilities during these hours. Um, there's all kind of draconian things that they can do, and believe me,
Right.
they're thinking about them, they're planning them. And this was the match that lit that fire. They had the plan all along, believe me, they do. But they need a reason. And starting a war against one of the founding civilizations that also supplies much of the world's energy and also petrochemicals, fertilizers, things like that. What's that going to
Right.
do to the crop growing for 2026? We're going to have enough? We're going to Are these
Hmm.
farmers in the United States and other parts of the world, are they going to be able to go out and work in the fields? Are they going to have enough petroleum? Are they going to have enough fertilizer um, to grow the food that the world needs? I don't know, Robert.
Well, that makes me no, you're those are great questions. That kind of leads me to the property tax issue. I mean, if you had any doubt that there should be some sort of reform with the property taxes, whether you think it should be abolished completely or there should be some sort of reform, I think most people at least agree here in Ohio that property taxes need to be reformed at a bare minimum. Uh, but I think this is giving more argument and more steam to the abolishing the property tax movement here in Ohio because people are fed up with make just barely making it. I mean, you've got seniors and retirees who are eating like cold noodles for breakfast because they have to decide between paying for food or paying for their medicines. And they need both to survive. So it's like, where are you going to cut corners? You can't just go get some off the wall medication. I mean, do you want to go to Mexico and try to get it? And believe it or not, people are doing that. They are more and more trying to get their medications from Mexico, from Canada, and other places, just because they're trying to save a few dollars so that they can have more money for food, for their light bill, and so on. And it's sad because this is where we've gotten to in America in 2026. And I just think that I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's going to pass this abolishing property taxes? Do you think this is just going to be a reform movement? Like, where do you think this is going to go now because of how things are speeding up with inflation and so on?
It needs systematic across the board reform. You can't just, as much as I want to get rid of property taxes, there has to be placed in the proper context and say we need people to realize like the age of big government needs to go. Bye bye.
Right.
So when you look at the state's budget, you have to go in there with a freaking chainsaw and not a little scalpel and try to cut this here and cut this here. You got to do substantial reform across the board. This didn't happen overnight. Big government at the local, state, and federal levels was not built overnight. It does not just pop up.
Hmm.
It took some doing. It took a number of years to get implemented. And you have to disassemble that. And the thing
Hmm.
is people need to realize they've been lied to. They think the course of history, because they're completely ignorant of history, they think the course of history goes like this.
Yeah.
And they think that, oh, here we were in 1900 and here we were in 1950 and here we are now. We're so much better across the board. No, that is not the course of history in this country when it
Yeah.
comes to uh, economic development, personal wealth, and prosperity. Um, that's not how it went. We're literally going the opposite. We are going down, down,
Right.
and the direct correlation is with the growth of big government. It's been a failure, complete failure, and you have to
Absolutely.
disassemble it. And you're going to have a lot of people, because there are a lot of people that are whose lives are directly tied to big government. Look at how
Hmm.
many government workers we have in this country. There's a whole lot of them. They're all unionized for the most part.
Hmm.
So they're going to go kicking and screaming. They're not going to want to give up big government. But that's what needs to be done. I'm sorry, because it's not sustainable. This
Right.
country is going to collapse. And do you want to see? It's not going to be some beautiful transition, revolution, you know, situation.
Right.
It's
It's
not
gonna be
even going
bad.
to be the. It's not even going to be the grapes of wrath, or the Great Depression, where people just standing in line waiting for soup and stuff. Men with their fedoras and their denim overalls, and women in their sundresses and things like that. That ain't going to be what it is. 75% of our gross domestic product is consumption, and based on the fact that the dollar is a global reserve currency. We lose that status as global reserve currency, and it changes all the time. Look throughout the course of history, it has changed many times. Prior to 1944, it was the British pound. Before that, it was the French franc and the Spanish lira, and so on and so forth,
Right.
going throughout history. It doesn't last forever. So let's just say that our situation here drops off. Your standard of living declines by three quarters, let's say.
Hmm.
It's already bad. People are already having a hard time getting by. What if it
Right.
gets 75% worse, like overnight, like super quick? What's going to happen
It's like
in this
Weimar,
country?
the Weimar Republic in Germany.
It's that, but at least in Weimar Germany, they were all German. They were all
Yeah.
at racially, ethnically homogenous. They
Yeah.
all shared a common history and culture and value system for the most part. Yeah, there's Catholics and Protestants there, but this country, we are balkanized now. We've had since 1965 and the Immigration Act in 1965, the Hart-Celler Act, we've been flooded with people from all over the world. And what have they
Right.
done? The elites have turned everybody against each other, mainly
Hmm.
people who lack melanin um, are been viewed as history's greatest villain. So what's going to happen? They're going to blame somebody. They're going to go
Hmm.
out there and be victimizing. It's going to be George Floyd riots on steroids.
Right.
And as far as you want a historical um, comparison, look at the French Revolution. Okay, look at what has been going on in South Africa. If we don't go full out French Revolution, we could easily go um, South Africa post Mandela, post apart end of apartheid, and
Hmm.
that's not good. You also have the Bolshevik Revolution. You could go that route too. You know, um, I don't know. I'm very fearful for it, and that's
Yeah.
why I had so much faith placed in maybe we can change course, we can reverse course, and that's where that's where I'm at with this whole property tax thing. Not to rant, not to go on, Robert, but these are important
Yeah.
topics, and
Yeah.
I feel very passionate about it, and I just want to, I guess, share that perspective with people, not to make them freak out, but just to realize, like, that's what this whole property tax abolishment initiative in the state of Ohio is. It's people trying to wave the SOS flag out there to say, I don't know what the solution is, but I know that we need like dramatic change.
Right.
And they're right about that. They
Mm.
need systematic change. But then you got these people like Mike DeWine, the rhino swine, who go out there and try to lie to people, try to say, well, if we do this, you have to raise sales taxes up to 20%, 21%, 22%. He's not factoring in course corresponding cuts to spending.
Hmm.
You have to gut big government at the
Yeah.
state level. Then it's possible. And the thing is, too, Robert, and I'll let you go
You're
off
good.
here. The thing is, people need to realize, going back to that trajectory of historical time
Hmm.
from a wealth and prosperity standpoint, if we did go back, if we did gut big government, it would be a new golden age in this country. The free market, small government, limited government, letting people benefit from their own labor, letting people who work hard and who have the talent, the knowledge, the skills to achieve benefit from the fruits of their labor. That is when America was great.
Yeah.
That was the American dream. It didn't guarantee to every single person that you come to America, you'll be a millionaire.
Mhm.
No, it was the land of opportunity. It wasn't the land of equality or equity. You have a shot.
Yeah.
Do with it what you want, but nobody's going to give you a handout. When they had Ellis Island and stuff, and they used to vet immigrants into this country, yeah, you
Mhm.
had to sign an affidavit saying you would not be a burden on anyone. That was
Mhm.
the days before the welfare state. You
Yeah.
didn't have Social Security. You didn't have all these handouts by the government. The only thing you had as far as handouts go was private charities. But they
Right.
had to sign and say, I swear I will not be a burden to anybody in America.
But isn't it interesting that I mean it's kind of like a coincidence of sorts, and I'm kind of joking here with that, but it's a coincidence of sorts that the growth of the nanny state coincided with the decline of the family because the family was always your social security. Your family was your safety net,
Your
and
church, your
your
church.
service. Yeah,
You want to
absolutely.
talk about motivating people? Just think of how many, because we have a lot of really good people, Robert, out
Hmm.
there. And, it always got me like, I know you're involved heavily in your church, mine too. Oh, what are we going to do for as far as outreach and mission work and stuff like that? And it's always the third world. Oh, let's give money to Haiti. Oh, let's give
Yeah.
money to these poor people in the Congo and stuff. And I'm an America first. I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, we got a lot of people here that need stuff.
Hmm.
We got Americans that need stuff. Um, but just imagine if you had even more money in your local communities, you had more money in your pocket because it wasn't being confiscated by the government in the form of income taxes, sales taxes, uh, outrageous property taxes, all this stuff. If you had more money, you weren't funding big government, you're probably going to be more likely to be charitable, right? You're going to give more
Hmm.
money to your church, you're going to give more money. So imagine all these local communities, these private charities throughout America, flushed with a bunch more donations, bunch more cash. They're going to need more people locally to be doing outreach, right?
Right.
And they did. So you'd have all these churches and stuff that actually had a mission
Yeah.
to help their people of need, legit need in their local communities. So if you had some in just look at what that would do for your own mission work in your
Hmm.
community. So
Hmm.
if you had this family that's down and out, dad got injured at work or something and we don't have work comp, let's say,
Yeah.
and they're in need and they didn't attend services. So they reach out or the church reaches out to them, helps them out, gives them private charity. In exchange, the expectation is that they're going to come. They're going to come and come visit the next service. And you get all these people that are proselytizing to them. Good chance that they're going to say, thank you. Thank you, Lord. You blessed me. You brought me your followers, your people here to spread your word and to lend a hand during a time in need. So that has been replaced by the government, by the welfare state, by these communist socialist policies.
Yeah.
So they've gutted the purpose of your churches and so many of your charities in the United States.
It's a great point. And the family, the family and churches were the backbone of our society, and now we've gone secularistic, if that's how you want to say it, agnostic. They're switching to other religions, these humanist religions, and no matter what they want to say, we were founded on Judeo-Christian principles. We were a Christian nation, and there's nothing that in the Constitution that would point otherwise, no matter what they want to say. And I think this is kind of good. This I think we're kind of going in a circle here, going back to we started talking about what the issues were, and now I guess what's the solution? Well, the solution is to get back to that, getting back to strong families, getting back to we need fathers in the home again, leading their families, leading their sons and daughters, and stepping up and leading in their church, which made them leaders in the community. Like we have to be active, we have to participate in society, we have to participate in our churches, we have to participate in municipal and local government. That is the answer. We need to get back to growing our own food. We have to get back to local solutions, because what we're seeing on a global scale is that globalism has failed us. Our supply chains are threatened. When you had COVID, look what that did to our prices. That's really what started driving inflation, was COVID, the shutdowns and everything, and then it's just never gone back. And if this happens with the Iran war, if inflation skyrockets again, we're not going to go back to pre-Iran war prices. That's not what the elites do. You know that, Cody. We're not going to go back to normal prices again. And that's what they do. They take advantage of these crises and increase prices, and then you're just never getting ahead. Right when you think you're adapting and you're like, okay, now I can work with this, like these new prices, in 2022, 2023. I remember thinking the same thing, like, okay, this isn't too bad. Like, some things went up, maybe income went up a little bit. You start learning how to adjust, cut corners, make extra money in certain areas. But then they change the game again on you. And we just got to stop playing the game and get back to what matters most is God, our families, our churches, our communities, and figuring out what those local solutions look like. I think every community should have its own economy. Going back to, like, I mean, I'm talking medieval days, going back to ancient days. We can still have the high tech that we do today. That's not what I'm saying. I said let's go back to the dark ages. I'm just saying, like, we have to have like local solutions, where we're not dependent upon, if China is like, what, we're not sending you any resources whatsoever. We're not exporting to your country anymore. And then, oh, by the way, Russia is saying the same thing. And oh, by the way, Iran and Brazil and BRICS nations all say we're not going to use your American dollar. Well, what's the solution then? So again, I know I'm kind of talking in circles here, but getting back to the solution is it's in the home, it's in our churches, getting back to our foundations of what the founding fathers talked about.
The solution is cutting big government. You get because you can have a focus on family and church and everything as you should, but if you still live in this repressive, oppressive, big government system, you're not going to
Hmm.
have these local economies that actually produce things.
Hmm.
It's not a coincidence that you have the uh, rise of big government, mainly under the worst president probably ever, Lyndon Johnson,
Right.
and the creation of the welfare state, the corresponding policies in Vietnam, and draining of the wealth geopolitically, increases in federal income taxes and stuff. And pretty quickly, you know, you see businesses and manufacturing and things that actually that make things in this country just go overseas. And that process didn't happen just in the 60s. It took a good 30 years, 40 years for that to really complete its course.
Hmm.
But you have to have small government, you have to have freedom. And if you have small government and freedom, and you'll get investment, you will
Right.
get private capital that pours into this country, you will get innovation, you will get brilliance, ingenuity, because that's the American spirit. That's
Right.
that's what built this nation and made it great. But over the last 60 years, it hasn't been great. Sorry, sorry, folks. We've been on a steady decline,
Yeah.
and culturally, economically, across the board, decline, decline, decline. So call me a cynic, call me a skeptic, call me a pessimist. I don't care. I'm a realist and I'm a
Yeah.
historian and I'm an economist. Um, I can see the numbers. I can see it in the history. You don't have to, it doesn't take a genius. Just go observe people.
Yeah.
Open these two things that you have mounted
Read a
on your
book.
freaking neck
Yeah.
and look at people. This
Yeah.
country is culturally rotten, morally rotten. Okay? So I don't know. People are probably like, this guy's just, he's just blackpilling or whatever.
Well, you
But
know what?
but
I mean,
we can change it. That's what I'm
yes,
trying to do. That's why I'm trying to talk to people, educate people out there. There is another way. It's not always just give us another handout, government. Please. Please,
mhm,
sir, I want some more. No. You go and you get your own porridge.
yeah,
Then you conquer and you have, you know, all this stuff going on, and then you're not eating porridge anymore. You're out there, fine dining and stuff. Right, Robert?
that's right.
All right, so we've talked about a lot here. Let's just wrap up real quick. We're
Yeah, I
about
was
an
gonna say,
hour and 15 minutes. Um, haven't really talked about the local issues. Just super quick, Robert.
well, tomorrow we have uh, a pretty good show for everyone tomorrow. We hope you tune in. I think we're at what again 7:30 tomorrow night, Cody, and we have County Commissioner candidate Tim Mooney joining us for the very first time. When we were doing the Watchman's Report, we wanted to get him on then, and then obviously, like we said at the beginning of the show, with some changes, we kind of. Shut down for a few weeks while we were making this pivot. So we've got Tim Mooney on tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about that because we haven't heard from him yet. And the fact that we're, a week away from the primary, the Republican primary is next Tuesday. You've got four candidates in the Marion County Commissioner's race. And then we've got three candidates for the state rep race. So I'm sure, tomorrow we can get into more local topics for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing the interview with Tim Mooney, so we're probably not going to be talking about a whole lot of other stuff. But anyway, yes, we have Tim Mooney coming on tomorrow night. That's a going to be an interesting race. It really is, that commissioner
Mhm.
race. I don't know how it's all going to pan out. You got Jason Schauber, you've got Christy Neff, you have Tim Mooney, of course, and you have Ken Stiverson. So keep an eye on that one
Mhm.
because it should be interesting. In the 86th district race as well between Wesleyan Davis, Ben Weber, and Stephen Wolf. And Stephen Wolf's going to be joining us on Thursday here on the
Mhm.
Patriot Report, so be sure to check that out. Um, in the city of Marion, kind of the big thing that we're waiting on is that report has been submitted according to Mayor Bill Collins. The plan of action report by the city has been submitted to the Ohio Auditor of State. I believe he said that it was submitted on April 6th. So they're still waiting to hear back on that to see if the plan was accepted this time because last time it was rejected. So we'll see if these changes that have been made by the administration and city government have passed muster with the Auditor of State. So hopefully we'll hear. And they had a meeting tonight, starting at 6:30. So that could have come
Mhm.
up and matters not on the agenda, or possibly in some statements from Collins or the auditor or the budget director. So we'll have to look into that to see if they gave any further details on that. But
Right.
trying to think if there was really anything else over the last couple of weeks um, that kind of came up. The city's been kind of a little bit quiet, I guess. Uh, Somewhat functional. Oh yeah, they're talking about staggering plan to stagger terms of city council. So that's still in committee right now, Legislation Codes and Regulations Committee. They'll be discussing that again next Monday. Um, we need to get Ralph Smith on
Yeah.
the show to talk about that because
Chuck
it's an
Norris.
interesting proposal. It really
Yeah.
is, and it needs to be done in some form or another. They've actually made some amendments to it to try to perfect it here before they submit it on to full council. So we'll see where that ends up. But I like the idea. Do you like the idea, Robert? I mean, you were on
Oh,
council.
absolutely. We talked about it when I was on council. We talked about term limits. We talked about the city charter, as you know. So I'm all for those things because anything that can put a greater check on power and bureaucrats taking over, I'm all for that. So I don't want to ramble there because I can definitely start going down a rabbit hole with that. But I'm all for term limits and staggered terms. Absolutely.
They can't do term limits though without a charter, though, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
They cannot do term limits under a statutory form of government. It would has to have to be through a charter, right? There's not an
That's
Ohio
a
Revised Code that allows for term limits for
that's
members
a
of
good
city
question.
council.
I think you have to have a charter, but I thought that I saw something where maybe it was Councilman Rollins was bringing that forward. So I don't know if they found some sort of rule that allows them to do that. I was always under the impression you had to have a city charter to do that. But nonetheless, if they don't have to have a charter to do it, by all means, still go forward. I don't think that negates the fact that they need a charter, though. That's still important work that needs to be done here in Marion. But I'm all for that. We've got to put a check on power because what's happening is these people are cycling positions. You run for council and then you get put into a role in the administration, vice versa. You hire your family member as clerk of council or a friend member, your best friend as clerk of council. And we can't have that anymore. We need fresh blood. We need new faces in office. And sometimes even good people can go awry, and term limits is in place to stop that from happening.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue with you on it's just what that number is. Is it two
Yeah,
terms, three terms, four terms?
yeah.
Um, but I like how they're having this discussion. So be sure to check out that next meeting on Monday next week. I think they should have one on the 4th, right? The election won't
Yes.
impact that at all, right? Even though the
Well,
election's the following day.
it 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 depends. They can take a vote and say, "Hey, we're going to postpone that." Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. It just depends. I know in some years council has postponed it till the following week just because of whatever for whatever reason they didn't want to have a council meeting right before the election. So, but I've also seen them have those meetings. So I guess we have to wait and see what they do.
We'll wait and see. All right, Robert, any final things you want to bring up tonight? Again, we're going to be here again tomorrow night with Tim Mooney, so be
Yes,
sure to
sir.
check that out.
Yeah, no, just for everybody who's tuned in tonight, we really appreciate you and staying with us as we transition to this new show. Please like our pages, go out to Ohio Patriots Network page and like that. We have a YouTube page if you want to watch and follow on there as well, Ohio Patriots Network. Please like, subscribe, share. I know that kind of sounds cheesy, but for us to be able to grow, continue what we do, and be more impactful, we really need you in our corner to help us with that. As you watch our live streams, comment. Tell us what you're thinking. We try to stay up on those comments and respond or talk about what you're asking us. So we certainly appreciate if you can leave comments as well.
Definitely like, subscribe, follow, share, all that stuff. Help us grow, get the message out there, because it's needed. People need to hear the truth. People need to know what's going on locally in their state governments, nationally. It's critically important. So, all right, folks. Well, again, same time here tomorrow night. Tim Mooney, Republican primary candidate for Marion County Commissioner. Be sure to check it out. So, for Robert Landon, I'm Cody Higley, and this has been the Patriot Report. And remember, folks, I got to change this up a little bit. A patriot is always vigilant. Have a good night.
Have a good night.